So let me remove some of this so we can get a clear example of what we talked about today. Okay. Let's go in the text here. Call it order of operations, just like math. I wish I could blow it up. Okay, order of operations. We have a turtle soup, followed by a CISD or inversion. These two are interchangeable. You know, the inverse may come before the CISD, or the CISD may come before the inverse, okay? Followed by a 2022 model, which would be your standard fair value gap entry, followed by the drawn liquidity being hit, followed by another turtle soup, which is the cycle repeating itself. If we do not get another turtle soup after the drawn liquidity has been hit, then we'll have a continuation, and that will be something we'll talk about in the next class. But this is our criteria for order of operations. And let's see if we can find that in this example. Okay, we're just going to recap what we talked about today. So you can see we have this bearish gap here. Okay, remember, when should you be looking for a turtle soup? We'll also add that up there. When to look for a turtle soup. Or in other words, when is a high probability to look for a turtle soup? Well, they're higher probability when the turtle soup is in a fair value gap. So number one, inside of a fair value gap. They're high probability when it's an ITL or ITH, which is also inside of a fair value gap. They're also high probability when we have an SMT, which is where one indice will take a high or a low and the other one won't, which was inside of our friend's example. They're also higher probability when it's a higher time frame, higher low, which could also be a swing high or low. So I'll go ahead and add that. Okay, so these are your 5 high probability times to look for a turtle soup. So in this example, you can see we had a fair value gap that was unmitigated until this candle here, because if I zoom in, you can see we made equal highs with the gap. We didn't actually tap into it. However, we tapped into it here. And this right here is an ITH, which an ITH is a intermediate term high, ITH, or a high inside of an FVG. When is it high probability to look for a turtle soup? An ITH, you know, on a high inside of a fair value gap. That's exactly what this black line is. That's what it represents. We have a high inside of a fair value gap, a bearish one at that. We expect this to be a turtle soup. How do we confirm the turtle soup? Well, you'd have to look at this list. To confirm the turtle soup, we need a change in state of delivery, because that's the order here. We get a turtle soup, followed by a change in state of delivery, which confirms the turtle soup. So we have a CISD in the form of a bearish order block. What should happen after the CISD? Well, we should expect an inverse, or maybe, you know, the inverse will come before the CISD. In this case, it happens on the same exact candle, because you can see this big candle here close through the inverse, also giving us the CISD. Okay. What should happen after the inverse or CISD? You should get a fresh fair value gap aka your 2022 model. Okay, and you can see this gap held. However, we also did tap into the higher one, repeating the same exact cycle. Okay, so once we get a turtle soup, once we've confirmed it, you should now get a turtle soup high, which in this case is also an ITH. So we have a turtle soup high or a new ITH, which should not get hit until the drawn liquidity has been hit, which would be down here, this turtle soup low. Right? This right here is the turtle soup. We left this right here. This low did not get hit until we hit the drawn liquidity, repeating the cycle, now in the bearish cycle. Okay. So now we have CISD, our 2022 model. We tap into another gap. This right here is the same exact thing that would just happen here. Okay. We had an ITH get hit. Remember, high inside of a fair value gap. You would expect this to be a turtle soup. How would you confirm a turtle soup? CISD followed by an inverse, followed by a 2022 model. Right there. The cycle repeated again. This right here would be your new turtle soup high that you would not expect to be hit until the drawn liquidity is hit. So we have basically two turtle soup highs in the same direction, which is extremely high probability, right? Remember, this right here acted as a turtle soup. We've got our CISD almost in the exact same spot as the other CISD. We get an entry for all three at the same exact time. And you may be wondering, Plyo, I don't see three PD arrays here. Well, you have an OB, you have your 2022 model fair value gap, and you also have your overlapping inverse gap retest. Three PD arrays tapped in at the same time in one candle is very, very high probability, giving us instant delivery to our drawn liquidity, which would be the turtle soup low, the previous one, because the drawn liquidity was hit up here, which means this should be now the target for when we start the bearish run. So I know that was kind of short, and that was kind of pretty much just a recap of what I talked about in today's class. Unfortunately, I was not able to record most of it or any of it, but I hope that this little summary kind of gives people a good insight of what to look for when you are trying to form a trade idea. This framework happens non-stop every single day, repeatedly, 24 hours a day, no matter what session, no matter what time frame you're on, it does not matter. This will repeat 24/7, no matter what chart you look at. So I hope you guys learned something from that video. And if you're interested in learning from me on a one-on-one basis, I'm starting a service for that. And also, if you want to learn from a profitable community of traders, there's also a link for that in the description below. Peace.